Hello there, everyone. My name is Juan Olmeda, and I am going to talk about this research that I carried out named Motivating Motivators, Key Aspects to Better Understand Foreign Language Teachers' Motivation. So one of the first things that I would like to point out is that we teachers are a special breed because we are required to keep up with a number of responsibilities such as assessment of our students, administrative tasks, not to mention the organization of different events and other responsibilities that full-time teachers and researchers have. And besides all of this, we also have to keep our students motivated as if we were some kind of infinite source of resources. But how about the well-being of teachers and their motivation? In this presentation, I depart from the fact that certain topics related to teachers' emotions and well-being have been under research, but now the time is ripe to address these matters, especially due to the so-called emotional turn in applied linguistics that formally started around 2 decades ago. When I started researching about emotions, I thought that it wasn't as complicated as other topics, but then I found a rich and complex universe full of variables, theories, and perspectives that I am currently trying to make sense of in my PhD thesis related to positive emotions and English language learning. Dewell, Noko, and Mercer in 2018 described the qualities of a good teacher as follows. Essentially, a good language teacher needs to be in a position to manage the emotional tenor of the classroom. This means not only should they be able to harness the emotions of their learners, but they should also be able to regulate the wrong emotions to ensure they are in the right frame of mind to create positive rapport with learners, generate enjoyment, and manage anxiety. Ferney et al. In 2008 pointed out that teacher's motivation is associated with the student's motivation, but the teacher's motivation is particularly complex given the multiple tasks that we have to perform and the impact this have on our psychological functioning. This is why they developed the Work Tasks Motivation Scale for Teachers, or WTMST, based on the feedback of 609 Canadian teachers in Quebec City in order to assess the constructs of intrinsic motivation, identified, interjected, and external regulations, and a motivation towards 6 work tasks, which are class preparation, teaching, evaluation of students, class management, administrative tasks, and complementary tasks. The WTMST has been used to investigate the link between teacher motivation and effective teaching of pre-service teachers, as well as burnout in teachers. These authors also distinguish 5 dimensions, which are intrinsically motivated behaviors that teachers are engaged in for the pleasure or the satisfaction derived from performing them. They stand in contrast with extrinsically motivated behaviors, which are instrumental in nature. Identified regulation is defined as behavior that individuals choose to perform because it is congruent with their own values and goals. Interjected regulation corresponds to the process whereby an external demand becomes an internal representation. External regulation occurs when behaviors are regulated to obtain a reward or to avoid a constraint. Finally, there is a motivation, which refers to being neither intrinsically nor extrinsically motivated. On the other hand, Petritz in 2017 explained that trait emotional intelligence is a personality trait that is linked to nature rather than nurture. Trait emotional intelligence is currently the only definition that recognizes the inherent subjectivity of emotional experience. Trait emotional intelligence essentially concerns people's self-perceptions of their emotional abilities and their inner world. About the study, it was carried out with 33 in-service teachers with an average teaching experience of 5 years. A semi-structured interview was carried out on the basic questions of how they feel about the teaching profession in general, what are its pros and cons, and what their experience as teachers has been so far. 2 online questionnaires were applied, the WTMST, in order to know the dimensions in which the students were the most motivated, as well as the tasks in which they feel more motivation. The Trait Emotional Intelligence Questionnaire short form, in order to know the level of trait emotional intelligence teachers possess, and later contrasted with their motivation reflected both in the WTMST and their answers in the interview. The results show that high trait emotional Intelligence teachers are more intrinsically motivated, have stronger identified regulation, and are less unmotivated. Teachers with higher levels of well-being, emotionality, self-control, and sociability were more likely to be strongly intrinsically motivated and committed to their studies, and they were less likely to suffer from motivation. Teachers who have been in the profession for longer are not necessarily more motivated. And the more teachers were proficient in English based on the interviews, the less likely they were to suffer from motivation, and their behaviors were less extrinsically motivated.